The Valkyrian War Council stood inside their grand battleship, looking at the tiny human fleet on their screens. The room was filled with laughter. The alien generals, tall and proud, could not stop mocking what they saw. "Are these human ships toys?" one of them said, chuckling. "Did they send us shuttles for a parade?" Another added, smirking. The humans had arrived with ships so small, they looked like insects next to the Valkyrian war cruisers. But what the aliens didn't know was that these little ships were not here to beg or run. They were waiting. From his command chair inside Earth's lead cruiser, Admiral Wren watched the alien fleet in silence. His face was calm, but his eyes sharp. Around him, his officers worked quietly, their hands moving across glowing control panels. No one spoke much. They had trained for this day. They knew what to do. The Valkyrians thought they were safe, that humans were weak, but that belief was about to break. The human ships floated in perfect formation, not moving an inch. To the aliens, it looked like fear. In truth, it was discipline. Admiral Wren had waited years for this chance. After the Valkyrians destroyed 3 human colonies and called it a warning, Earth had promised to never forget. But instead of sending big warships right away, humans built something else, smaller, faster, smarter. Ships that could fight in ways no alien had seen before. Back on the Valkyrian flagship, a young alien officer raised a concern. "Commander," he said, "why are the human ships so still? They're not even responding." The commander laughed again. "They're frozen in fear," he said. "Let them watch. We'll give them one chance to leave before we crush them." But then, something changed. One human ship slowly broke formation. It moved forward, calmly without any message or signal. The Valkyrian commander narrowed his eyes. "What is that thing doing?" he asked. The small ship turned slightly, pointing its front toward the alien flagship. Its lights flickered, then glowed a deep blue. Inside the alien war room, alerts started to beep. "Unknown energy signature," said the Valkyrian tech officer. "It's charging something." "Impossible," the commander barked. "That thing can't have weapons strong enough to threaten us." Inside the tiny human ship, the pilot was silent. She had trained in secret, far from Earth, far from her family. She had watched her brother die in the Valkyrian attack on Titan. Today, she would answer that pain. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. The ship's core began to hum. Admiral Wren didn't blink. "Let them see," he said quietly to his second-in-command. "Let them witness what they started." The Valkyrian fleet watched, confused, then alarmed. The mini-ship released a pulse of energy, silent and clean. In a flash, it hit the alien flagship. There was no loud explosion. Instead, the Valkyrian shields cracked like glass, and the power on the bridge flickered. For the first time, the alien commander's smile disappeared. "What was that?" he shouted. "Get those humans on the screen. Now." But there was no response. The human fleet remained silent. Then, another small ship powered up, and another, and another. The Valkyrians were no longer laughing. Inside their ships, human pilots waited for the signal. They knew the enemy was watching. The mission was clear. Show them that size didn't matter. Show them that Earth was not afraid. The message wasn't spoken in words. It would be written in fire and strategy. Back on the Valkyrian flagship, panic grew. Officers ran across the room, yelling into comms. The commander slammed his fist against the table. "Attack now," he shouted. "Destroy those pests before they do more damage." But it was too late. The small human ship that had fired first began to move again. Smooth, fast, and deadly. More ships followed. The sky between the fleets grew tense. One mistake, one more shot, and the war would begin. Admiral Wren closed his eyes for a moment, remembering the faces of those Earth had lost. Then he opened them, calm as ever. "They wanted war," he said. "Let's begin." The enemy had mocked the mini-ships, But now fear was in their eyes. The game had changed, and Earth had made the first move. The Valkyrian flagship shook as the human mini-ship's blast hit its core shield. Lights blinked, alarms screamed, and alien officers stumbled to their feet. No one had expected this. Their strongest shield, meant to block meteors and missiles, was broken by something smaller than a cargo pod. The commander shouted, "How is this possible? That ship is too small." But the damage was real. Sparks flew from broken wires. Screens went black. Fear slowly replaced arrogance in the eyes of the Valkyrian leaders. In the human fleet, silence remained. The mini-ship that fired had returned to formation. No message, no threats, just a clear warning. Humanity would not be mocked again. Then, a second mini-ship moved forward, followed by a third. The Valkyrians watched in disbelief as each one glowed with the same strange energy. It was not like anything their sensors had seen before. It wasn't plasma. It wasn't laser. It was something new. Back on Earth, hidden deep inside a secure lab, a group of scientists watched the battle unfold on their screens. They were the ones who built the new weapons, called pulse cores. These weapons didn't explode. They disrupted. They were designed to break shields, blind sensors, and confuse AI systems. Earth had tested them only once, in a deep space trial. Now they were being used for real. "It works," whispered the lead scientist. "They're finally seeing what we've been building for years." Admiral Wren gave no orders yet. He wanted the enemy to feel the pressure, to realize their mistake. Every second the alien fleet hesitated, more human ships powered up. Their small size allowed them to move faster, dodge easier, and hit harder than anyone believed. The Valkyrians had built giant war machines, proud and slow. The humans had built hornets, silent, quick, and deadly. The Valkyrian commander called for backup. "Send in the second wave. Crush them," he ordered. Dozens of alien ships began moving forward. Their cannons warmed up, targeting the human mini-fleet. It was time to strike back. The aliens fired. Beams of red and green light shot across space, but the human ships moved like shadows. One after another, they dodged the attacks with sharp, perfect turns. No human ship was hit, not even once. Then the human fleet fired again. This time, 10 ships fired together. Their energy blasts hit not just shields, but weapons and engines. One Valkyrian ship lost control and spun into another. The third ship went dark and drifted into open space. The alien commander was speechless. "They're too fast. We can't lock on." Inside her tiny cockpit, the young human pilot smiled. She had trained inside a simulation that moved faster than her heartbeat. She knew her ship inside and out. She remembered the day Earth chose her, when she was just a nobody from Mars. Now she was flying the most advanced ship in the galaxy, and she was winning. Admiral Wren watched quietly. Every move had been part of the plan. Earth had stayed silent while the Valkyrians showed off their power. But behind closed doors, humans were working. Designing ships that no scanner could read. Building weapons no shield could block. And now, they were using them with perfect timing. The Valkyrian commander slammed his fist on the table. "This is not a war. It's a trap," he growled. But he was too late to escape. His fleet was already surrounded. The human mini-ships had split into teams, moving in patterns that confused enemy radar. No two ships moved the same way. The alien computers couldn't track them. One alien ship exploded, then another. Each time, it was a mini-ship that caused it. The Valkyrian officers were yelling now, arguing, panicking, losing control. The pride they once had was gone. They were no longer hunters. They were prey. Back on the human command ship, Admiral Wren finally spoke. "They laughed at us," he said. "Now they will learn." He turned to his communication officer. "Send the signal. Begin Phase 2. And just like that, every human ship changed direction at once. They moved fast and disappeared into different angles of space. To the Valkyrians, it looked like chaos. But it wasn't. It was strategy. Each ship now had a new target. The commander of the Valkyrian fleet looked at the blank screen in front of him. "Where did they go?" he asked, voice shaking. One of his officers answered, "They vanished. Sir, we can't find them." But the humans hadn't vanished. They were just getting started. The Valkyrian commander stood frozen. His hands trembled as he stared at the radar. The screen was empty. The human ships had vanished. One moment, they were right in front of him, attacking with strange weapons. And the next, they were gone like smoke. His officers ran from one control station to another, shouting, scanning, trying to find the enemy. "We lost them," one officer said, his voice low. "They've disappeared from all systems." But the humans had not disappeared. They had split into smaller units, moving silently, hiding in the shadows of space. Their ships were built for stealth. They had no large engines to detect, no glowing heat to track. The Valkyrian fleet was blind, and they knew it. The hunters had become the hunted. Inside her mini-ship, the young human pilot flew low near an asteroid belt. Her hands moved quickly, guiding the ship through narrow paths. "Target in sight," she whispered. On her screen was a large Valkyrian supply ship. It was unarmed. An easy target. She took a deep breath, locked on, and fired. The pulse shot hit the engine. The ship didn't explode. It simply shut down. Its lights turned off. It drifted in silence. Far away, Admiral Wren watched as dots on his tactical map changed color, one after another. Each dot was a Valkyrian ship. Each change meant that ship was now disabled, captured, or destroyed. The humans didn't want to just win. They wanted to send a message. Earth had come prepared. The Valkyrians were now fighting ghosts. Every time they thought they saw something on their screen, it was already too late. Human ships appeared, fired, and vanished again. It was like trying to fight shadows. The alien soldiers shouted in fear. Some wanted to escape. Others were too shocked to move. In the Valkyrian war room, the commander looked broken. "We are the greatest fleet in the galaxy," he whispered. "How can this be happening?" His second in command, a younger officer, looked pale. "They knew we would come," he said. "They planned for this." He was right. Back on Earth, months before the battle, Admiral Wren had studied every weakness in the Valkyrian fleet. He knew their weapons, their timing, their pride. He used that against them. While the Valkyrians focused on size and power, humans focused on speed and silence. They trained in hidden bases, in deep space, using old ships to test new ideas. Now, all of that planning was working. Then came the moment that changed everything. A human ship flew directly toward the Valkyrian flagship. It didn't hide. It didn't fire. It just moved, straight and steady. The commander stared at it, unsure. "What is this?" he asked. "Another attack." But the ship stopped just before reaching them. A signal was sent. A simple message blinked on the Valkyrian screen. "We are not afraid. This is your first and last warning." The room went silent. No one moved. No one laughed. For the first time, the Valkyrian fleet knew fear. The commander stared at the message, his jaw tight. "They'd warned us," he asked in disbelief. But it was true. The humans didn't want to destroy everything. They wanted the Valkyrians to think, to feel the same fear Earth once felt. This wasn't revenge. It was justice. Admiral Wren gave one final order. "Hold fire. Let them choose. Let them feel the weight of their actions." The human fleet waited in silence, hiding but ready. All weapons were armed. One wrong move from the Valkyrians, and the next wave would begin. But for now, Earth gave them a chance. Back in the flagship, the Valkyrian commander sat down slowly. His pride had been shattered. His fleet was falling apart. And now, the enemy, the one he had laughed at, was giving him mercy. He didn't know what to do. In space, The stars burned quietly. The war was not over, but the galaxy had changed, and the humans had made their point. The Velcarian commander sat still in his chair. Around him, officers whispered, unsure what to do next. The once proud fleet was now scattered and broken. Some ships had been disabled. Others had stopped moving, afraid of the silent human ships still hiding in the dark. The message on the screen kept blinking. We are not afraid. This is your first and last warning. It was clear, powerful, and terrifying. On the human command ship, Admiral Wren stared at the enemy flagship. He had given them a choice. They could back down or face what was coming next. Earth's fleet didn't move. They didn't need to. Their silence was louder than 1,000 war cries. Inside her mini-ship, the young human pilot waited for orders. Her finger rested near the trigger. She had her target ready, but no command came. She knew the mission was now something bigger than just fighting. It was about respect, about making sure humanity was never laughed at again. The Velcarian commander finally stood up. He looked out the glass window of his ship. Space was quiet, but the silence felt heavy. He turned to his second in command. Send a message to all ships, he said. Full stop. Hold position. No one fires without my order. But sir, the officer began. Do it, the commander said firmly. We are not fighting fools. We are fighting ghosts. And these ghosts are smarter than us. The order was sent. Across the enemy fleet, Velcarian ships stopped moving. Their weapons turned off. Their engines went cold. It was the first time in Velcarian history that a battle stopped, not because of defeat, but because of fear. Admiral Wren saw it all. One by one, red enemy dots on his map turned gray. He smiled slightly. They're thinking, he said. Good. Let them. But deep inside the Velcarian command, something else was happening. A group of high-ranking officers, older, proud, and angry, met in secret. They were not ready to accept this shame. We cannot let this stand, one of them growled. We are Velcarians. We rule space. If we back down now, the whole galaxy will see us as weak. Another officer nodded. The humans will think they've won. We must strike again, harder, smarter. They made a plan behind the commander's back. A secret strike. A sudden attack meant to crush the human fleet in one blow. They gathered 10 fast ships, armed them with old weapons, and gave them a mission. Surprise attack. Hit the humans before they disappear again. The fleet moved in silence, heading toward the humans from a different direction. They believed they had a chance. But the humans were already watching. One mini-ship picked up the movement, then another. Within seconds, the human command knew what was coming. Admiral Wren's face turned cold. They've made their choice, he said. They chose war. He tapped his console. Activate Echo Protocol. Suddenly, hidden human ships appeared all around the 10 attacking Velcarian ships. They had been waiting in the black, invisible to sensors. The trap snapped shut. The Velcarian strike team never fired a shot. Each one was hit with pulse blasts. No explosions, no flames, just total shutdown. Their ships floated silently. Their mission failed before it even began. Back on the flagship, the commander received the news. He turned pale. Who gave that order? He demanded. One officer pointed to the group of older men. They did, without permission. The commander's voice was calm, but filled with anger. You nearly destroyed us all, because of your pride. But it was too late. The humans had responded. And now, the final stage had begun. Admiral Wren gave the signal. Slowly, the entire human fleet became visible. Ship after ship uncloaked. Hundreds of them. Not just mini-ships, but larger ones too. Earth had held back its full strength, until now. For the first time, the Velcarians saw the truth. Humanity wasn't weak. Humanity was ready. And they had just made their biggest mistake. The galaxy held its breath. Across the stars, hundreds of human ships slowly revealed themselves. The Valkyrians had believed the mini-ships were Earth's only defense. They were wrong. Now, larger vessels, silent giants of war, emerged from the black. Their dark steel bodies reflected the cold light of distant suns. Their weapons glowed faintly, ready to strike. On the Valkyrian flagship, the commander stared in shock. "They had this all along," he whispered. No one answered. His fleet had already been reduced to silence and fear. Now, the humans were showing their full hand. Admiral Wren stood tall on the bridge of Earth's lead battleship. His voice was calm but firm. "Transmit this message to the Valkyrians," he ordered. "No more warnings." Within seconds, the message reached every Valkyrian ship, simple, sharp, and final. "Your pride blinded you. Your second strike failed. Now, you've faced the truth." Panic broke out among the Valkyrians. Many officers demanded retreat. Others shouted to prepare defenses. But their weapons were slow, and their targeting systems still couldn't lock on to the fast-moving human ships. They were outmatched. In one corner of space, a small group of Valkyrian ships tried to run. They activated hyperdrives and rushed toward deep space, but they didn't get far. Human drones were already waiting. With silent precision, they disabled the engines. The ships went dark, powerless, and floating. Inside her mini-ship, the young pilot received her next target. But this time, it wasn't an enemy. It was a surrender signal. One Valkyrian ship had given up. The lights blinked in a clear pattern. A white flag in space. She hesitated, surprised, then smiled. "They're starting to understand," she said. One by one, more Valkyrian ships began to power down. They sent surrender codes, their pride now broken. The humans didn't fire. They didn't need to. Their message had been heard, but not everyone gave up. Back on the Valkyrian flagship, the group of rogue generals refused to surrender. "We still have the core weapon," one of them said. "If we launch it at their lead ship, we can break them." The commander's eyes widened. "The core weapon? That's banned. It could destroy half the sector." The rogue general slammed his fist on the table, then let it burn. Better to go down in flames than kneel before humans. Before the commander could stop them, the rogue team activated the weapon. A deep rumble echoed through the flagship. Energy built inside the ship's core. A glowing orb began to form, unstable and dangerous. Admiral Wren noticed it. His sensors picked up a sudden spike in energy. "They've armed something big," his officer warned. "Something illegal." Wren's face hardened. "Prepare countermeasures. Target their core. We can't let that weapon fire." Time was running out. Inside the Valkyrian flagship, alarms screamed. Even the crew began to panic. "This weapon will kill us too," one engineer yelled. But the rogue general didn't listen. His finger hovered over the final trigger. Then, something unexpected happened. The Valkyrian commander pulled out a weapon of his own, a small energy pistol. He aimed it at the rogue general. "This ends now," he said. A single shot echoed. The rogue fell to the floor. The commander rushed to the console and hit the emergency shutdown. The core weapon's glow faded. The flagship went quiet again. Admiral Wren watched it all from his ship. The threat was gone. For now. He opened a channel to the Valkyrian flagship. His face appeared on their main screen. "You had every chance to avoid this," he said softly. "But still, you chose pride." The Valkyrian commander stepped forward, his voice tired. "We made a mistake, a grave one." Wren nodded. "Then let this be your last." The screen went dark. Silence returned to space. The humans didn't attack. They didn't gloat. They waited. And slowly, the last of the Valkyrian fleet began to surrender. But far away, in a secret Valkyrian base, something darker stirred. A signal had been sent. A shadow deeper than war had awakened, and humanity's real test was still to come. The war was over, or so they thought. In deep space, far from the battlefield, a hidden Valkyrian base came alive. Red lights flashed. Cold machines woke up. Long ago, this place was built for only one purpose: to bring revenge if the Valkyrians ever lost. And now, that moment had come. A dark figure moved through the command room. His name was General Croth, the Valkyrian Empire's last secret. He was not like the others. He did not care about honor or rules. He believed only in power. And he hated humans more than anything in the galaxy. "They made us kneel," Croth growled. "They made us look weak. But they forgot something." He pressed his clawed hand on a scanner. A giant door opened, revealing a weapon, massive, ancient, and alive. It was called the Starpiercer, a self-guided, planet-killing ship that could travel faster than any known engine. No one had used it in centuries, until now. "Target, Earth," Croth said coldly. The weapon rose slowly and began to move. Its engine burned blue as it launched into the void. Silent, unstoppable. Meanwhile, back near the human fleet, Admiral Wren was overseeing the surrender. Valkyrian ships were being escorted to safe zones. Human drones scanned every vessel. No one wanted surprises. Inside her mini-ship, the young pilot felt strange. The victory didn't feel like a victory. She looked at the stars and whispered, "It's too quiet." Then the alarm blared. Unidentified object detected. High speed. Unknown origin. Wren snapped to attention. "Show me." On the screen, a single ship moved faster than anything they had ever seen. No heat trail. No signal. Just a dark arrow flying straight toward Earth. Where did it come from? Wren asked. No one knew. He leaned closer to the screen. "What is that thing?" Sensors tried to scan it, but the data made no sense. The object was not made of normal metal. It pulsed like it was alive. Its core burned with strange energy. The science officer's face turned pale. "It's not just a ship, it's a weapon." Admiral Wren gave the order. "Scramble every fast response unit. Track it. Block it. Stop it." Dozens of mini-ships, including the young pilots, launched into space. They raced after the object, but it was too fast. Every time they got close, it shifted. It twisted through space like it knew the future, like it could think. "We can't catch it," the pilot shouted. Back on the human flagship, a new message arrived from a captured Valkyrian officer. He had seen the weapon before, in old files, hidden from public eyes. He spoke with fear. "It's called the Starpiercer. Once it locks on a planet, it never misses. It won't stop." Admiral Wren clenched his fists. "Then we make it stop." But there was only one chance, one opening. The weapon's core needed to cool every 72 minutes, for just 10 seconds. If hit during that moment, it could be destroyed. If missed, Earth would be gone. The countdown began. Every human ship focused on one goal: hold position, track the weapon, and wait for the 10-second window. The young pilot flew close, dodging strange energy fields and laser traps. Her ship shook, her hands sweating. "How do I fight something that isn't even alive?" she whispered. Then her screen lit up. "Window approaching in 30 seconds." She narrowed her eyes. "I'm not missing." Behind her, other ships were falling back. Damage. Disabled. The weapon was too smart, too fast. She was the last one still close enough. The core began to flicker. Blue light dimmed slightly. The 10 seconds had started. "Now," Wren shouted. She aimed. Her ship locked in. The weapon twisted suddenly, sensing danger. She fired. A bright beam of plasma flew through space. It hit. The weapon's core cracked open. A wave of light exploded across the stars. The young pilot's ship spun out, hit by the blast wave. She lost control. The screen went black. On the human command ship, everyone held their breath. Did it work? Someone whispered. Silence. Then, a signal. Weak, but alive. The young pilot's voice broke through. Target destroyed. I'm okay. Cheers echoed through the fleet. Earth was safe. For now. But in the secret base, General Croth didn't flinch. He looked at another screen, showing 3 more weapons still asleep. This was just the beginning, he said. The galaxy had changed. The Valkyrian fleet was broken. Surrendered. Their greatest weapon, the Starpiercer, was gone. And yet, deep in a hidden base, General Croth watched the stars with cold eyes. He had 3 more weapons, 3 monsters sleeping under ice and metal. But he had waited too long. Humans had already learned his secret. On Earth, Admiral Wren stood before the United Defense Council. His voice was calm but firm. There is one final threat, he said. It's not coming. It's already here, waiting. He showed them the data, old Valkyrian plans, captured messages, and the location of the secret base. We strike now, he said, before those weapons wake. Within hours, the human fleet moved. Every surviving ship, every drone, every pilot. Not to defend, not to hide, but to end it. The young pilot sat inside her repaired mini-ship. Her body was bruised. Her nerves were tired. But her eyes were sharp. One more mission, she whispered. Let's finish this. The human fleet jumped to the base coordinates. A frozen moon floated in the darkness. It looked empty from the outside. But their scanners lit up immediately. Energy, shields, weapons. It's real. Admiral Wren said, let's go. As they moved closer, the ground split open. 3 giant weapons rose from the ice. Larger than anything ever built, they moved like living creatures, each powered by ancient engines. The first aimed at the fleet. The second locked onto Earth. The third stayed still, glowing brighter than a star. General Croth stood inside the control room. Let's see if the humans still have hope when the sky burns, he growled. The first weapon fired. A wave of energy flew toward the human ships. One large vessel took the hit and exploded. But the others pushed forward. The mini-ships flew in patterns, fast and impossible to catch. They've learned, Croth hissed. They're adapting. The second weapon began charging. Its core burned red. It aimed directly at Earth. One shot from this monster would erase the planet. Admiral Wren saw it. We need a direct hit on its power source. We have 10 seconds before it locks on. The young pilot heard the order. She didn't wait. Her ship darted forward, alone. She raced past fire, past falling debris, past ships being torn apart. The second weapon locked onto her. Its cannons opened, but she twisted through them, spinning and dodging like lightning. I see it, she whispered. She flew straight at the weapon's core and fired everything. Plasma, missiles, and her last energy bomb. The explosion blinded the sky. When the light faded, the second weapon was gone. But her ship was gone too. Admiral Wren looked down, silent. Pilot status, he asked. No answer. The fleet stood still. Then her voice came through, weak but smiling. Still here, sir, just upside down. Laughter and cheers filled the command room. But there was no time to celebrate. The third weapon was glowing brighter. It wasn't a cannon. It was a gate, a portal to somewhere else. Wren's science officer gasped. Sir, it's pulling something through. Another fleet, not Valkyrian. Wren's eyes narrowed. Then we shut it down. Croft screamed in rage. You can't stop it. You've already lost. But this time, it wasn't weapons that stopped him. It was his own people. One of the Valkyrian engineers stood up. We never agreed to this. You're not saving us. You're destroying everyone. He hit the shutdown code. The gate began to collapse. Croft lunged, but it was too late. The portal shattered in a wave of blue fire. The base shook. Walls cracked. The remaining weapons fell silent. The humans pulled back. The base exploded behind them. No more secrets. No more monsters. It was over. For real this time. Back on Earth, the young pilot walked off her ship. Her friends cheered. The crowd clapped. And Admiral Wren saluted her. "You showed them what humans really are," he said. "Small ships, but big hearts." The galaxy would remember this day, not as the end of a war, but as the beginning of respect. For the first time, humans were not feared because of their weapons. They were respected because they never gave up, not even when the stars burned.